So let me just give you a couple reminders on when to get things plugged in. You just got problem set 3. This one is due on Wednesday, Thursday, not Monday, Tuesday. And all the rest of them can do on a Monday, Tuesday. But because Tuesday the 11th is a holiday, there's no sections, there's no lectures, there's no libraries on Tuesday the 11th. So this one is due Wednesday, Thursday. And then we have the short midterm, the one that's just 60 points. The short midterm is 3 weeks from last Wednesday, so 2.5 weeks. So the short midterm is November 19th. So we've got just 5 lectures this time in between the 2 midterms. So the short midterm is going to cover just the 5 days, this Monday, Wednesday, Monday, Wednesday, Monday. Don't forget also you have a B courses quiz that's due Sunday night, this coming Sunday night. It's on chapter 8. It's already up and available. Ezra, where are you? I can't see you. Are we ready to rumble? Let me see I'll feel better if I can see the outline. Oh, I'll be right there. Okay, so I'll be upstairs. Don't leave. We're going to do this whole thing, but you'll never see me. It's going to be a very odd experience. Or you can actually turn around and look at me. It doesn't matter. But I'm going to be upstairs. Just because you can't see me doesn't mean I can't see you. Yeah, okay. All right, I'm walking up the stairs. Dun, 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 dun. Here I come. Up. Where am I? Okay, and all right, so here I am upstairs. But it doesn't show. Did you plug me in? I don't have power. All right, I'm upstairs.
Go to BJ.
And, yay. All right, we're in business. All right, for people who just came in, I'm upstairs. You still need to be quiet so we can do this. I'm going to be up here because the computer difficulty issue. So let me make space for all my stuff. Here I am. All right, so we're moving on with the macro stuff. And I'm stalling while I get set up here. No, I got to get everything turned on. And you don't need music because we already passed that point. Okay. So there's our outline, looking at macro equilibrium, and then I got a whole lot of clicker questions having to do with consumption. And I need one more thing, which is never mind, I got it. All right, here we go. Let me see if it's going to work. Next, awesome. So remember that in macro what we're doing, for those people who just came in, there's AV difficulties, and the only way for me to do this is I'm up in the booth. Remember that actually, I'm wearing the invisibility cloak from Harry Potter. That'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it? What we're doing in macro, a lot of what we're doing in macro is we're trying to answer the question of what determines unemployment. That was the key question that got things started in the 1930s. And what we saw was that the way of thinking about unemployment is that the amount of output that's produced, which we measure with GDP, determines the amount of employment, because people are hired, they're given jobs, so people expect to be able to sell what they produce. And the amount of employment, of course, determines the amount of unemployment. So if we want to understand what determines unemployment, we go backwards on that, and we have to figure out what determines the amount of output that's produced. So the key assumption that we're going to have today, businesses change how much output they're producing. That is, they change the components of GDP. Businesses change how much output they're producing only when they experience or anticipate changes in demand. Businesses don't change the amount of output they're producing because it's the politically popular thing to do. They don't change the amount of output they're producing because they're happy. Well, let me take that back. They don't change the amount of output they're producing because somebody told them to. They're going to change the amount of output they're producing if they either experience a change in demand or they anticipate a change in demand. That's the same thing as saying that businesses respond to aggregate demand, where aggregate demand is that sum of consumption plus investment plus government plus exports minus imports. Businesses are in the business of maximizing profit. They're not in the business of maximizing employment. They're not goodwill people. They're not like Goodwill versus Salvation Army, but they're not out there to make you feel good. They're there to maximize profit, and so they're going to hire people if they expect to be able to sell what they produce, and that means they're responding to aggregate demand. They're responding to C plus I plus G plus exports minus imports. Keep that blue sentence up there in mind. That's a key idea. All right, when we talk about macroeconomic equilibrium, the way that we put it is this. We say the economy is in macroeconomic equilibrium when the total amount of output, that is GDP, equals aggregate demand, C plus I plus G plus exports minus imports. So that's the phrasing. The economy is in macro equilibrium when total output equals aggregate demand, or when GDP equals C plus I plus G plus exports minus imports. The implication of that is this. If aggregate demand isn't changing, if the sum of C and I and G and exports and imports isn't changing from one month to the next, then firms have no incentive to change the amount of output they're producing. So if, for instance, C plus I plus G plus exports minus imports, if that was to equal $2,000 billion in a month, and it's equal the same amount, $2,000 billion per month every month, then in macro equilibrium, firms would be producing $2,000 billion worth of output in each month. They have no incentive to change how much they're producing because they only produce in response to demand. So if demand is $2,000 billion, they're going to produce $2,000 billion. And that's a picture of an economy that's in macroeconomic equilibrium, where the total amount of output that's being produced each month is equal to aggregate demand. So that's fine, but it's always more interesting to think about moving to a new equilibrium. So why would businesses change how much output they're producing? You just have to imagine that you can see me and see my facial expressions, which I know the people in the back can never see anyway. I'm up here still making them. Why would businesses change how much output they're producing? Well, if businesses are going to produce in response to aggregate demand, either actual or anticipated aggregate demand, then it makes sense that they're going to change how much they're producing if there's a change in either the actual or the anticipated amount of aggregate demand. So businesses would change how much output they're producing. Ezra, I can't focus with you guys talking. Businesses would change how much output they're producing if there was either an actual change in aggregate demand or an anticipated change. That's why businesses change how much they're producing. So either there's like more demand so they produce more stuff, or there's less demand so they produce less stuff, but it's because there's this change in how much people want to buy that they change how much they're producing, which remember changes how many people they're employing, which changes unemployment, which is why we care. So for instance, if there's an increase in aggregate demand, then businesses are going to produce more output. So in the previous example, we had that aggregate demand was $2,000 billion per month. So if, for instance, aggregate demand were to increase to, let's say, $2,300 billion per month, then there's going to be an increase in how much output is produced. And when the economy gets back to equilibrium, it's going to get back to a point where it's producing the amount of output that equals aggregate demand, which in this case would now be $2,300 billion per month. So more aggregate demand are going to produce more output. Or flip it over, if there's a decrease in aggregate demand, firms are going to produce less output. And when firms produce less output, that's going to decrease GDP. So if there's a decrease in aggregate demand, then firms are going to produce less because there's just not people to buy what they're producing. And remember when we talked about there's output, which is the podium, there's the income that's earned by the people who produce the podium, and there's the spending for the podium. If firms are producing less output, that's GDP. So the GDP here, this is the output, this is the podium. If firms are producing less output, it means that the people who worked for those firms that are no longer producing as much output as they were before, they've experienced a drop in income. So when there's a drop in aggregate demand, the firms produce less output because nobody's going to buy everything they produce. Then that means that some of the people who used to work for that business don't have jobs or they have fewer hours, and so there's a drop in income. GDP is output and income. So then the next question is, how do firms know that demand has changed? Well, here we need to make a distinction between goods and services. And this is where a couple of days ago I pointed out, and I'm going to show you that graph again of the rise of services. This distinction between goods and services is not something that was in the work that Keynes did, but it's certainly more important now that we have such a big share of our output as services. So how do businesses know that demand has changed? Well, if they're selling services, they simply know there's fewer customers. I mean, if you're a dentist who's cleaning teeth, you know that demand for teeth cleaning has changed because there's fewer people calling up to make appointments. If you're a lawyer who's selling lawyer services, you know you're selling less services because you've got fewer appointments during the day. You've got more time to sort of kick back and play Candy Crush or whatever it is you do in your spare time. For businesses that are selling goods tend to keep those goods in inventory. You know, it would be really weird to walk into Safeway and confront completely empty shelves. Even Amazon has a huge inventory. You may not see it, but the reason they can get you that book in 24 hours is because they have a huge inventory. So for businesses that are selling goods, they know demand has changed because all of a sudden their inventory changes unexpectedly. Amazon has some expectation of the amount of goods they're going to have in inventory any given day. And if their inventory suddenly goes way up, it's like, oh, we got a problem. We're not selling as many goods as we thought we were going to. If their inventory goes way down, they've got the opposite problem. I just said the next two things. So if demand falls unexpectedly, if, for instance, there are fewer books bought for Christmas 2014 than Amazon expects, then the amount of output that's been produced is going to exceed demand. Goods are going to accumulate in inventory. That's the language that we use. We call it inventory accumulation. Goods are going to accumulate in inventory, and then businesses are going to produce less. On the other hand, if demand rises unexpectedly, if all of a sudden we all decide, you know what, the rocking thing to do this year is to get everybody books, even though we wouldn't normally do that, then demand rises unexpectedly, demand exceeds output, the goods inventories are depleted. Again, the language that we use here is depletion or depleted. The goods inventories are depleted, and the businesses recognize that there's been an unexpected increase in demand and begin producing more. So we've got businesses are producing output if they have, businesses produce output in response to actual or anticipated aggregate demand. The services producers, they're just going to watch and see if there's more or fewer customers coming in the door. The goods producers are watching to see what happens to their inventory because that's their signal as to whether or not the amount of output they're producing equals aggregate demand. And then, just to summarize again, the macroeconomy is in equilibrium. We can say the equilibrium condition in any of these four ways. The macroeconomy is in equilibrium when output equals aggregate demand. These are synonyms. It's like four different languages, ways of saying thank you. I can say thank you, I can say gracias, I can say dankeschön, I can say merci. This is four different ways of saying exactly the same thing. The macroeconomy is in equilibrium when output equals aggregate demand. Whoops, wrong button. When GDP equals aggregate, when GDP equals AD, that's another way of saying the same thing. Uppercase Y is the notation that we use for income. I just spelled that wrong. I-N-C-O-M-E. Uppercase Y is the notation that we use for income. And GDP and income always have the same dollar value. That podium at the front is a $3,000 podium, either because it cost $3,000 to purchase it, or because there was $3,000 worth of income generated for the workers and the owners of the businesses that produce the podium. So we can also say income equals aggregate demand. And because the definition of aggregate demand is C plus I plus G plus exports minus imports, we can say income equals C plus I plus G plus exports minus imports. Those are four different statements that say exactly the same thing. Those are synonyms. It's impossible to say one is true and the others aren't. Those are synonyms. Like there's four languages saying the same thing. It's four ways of saying thank you. Four ways of saying the macroeconomy is in equilibrium. Output equals aggregate demand, GDP equals AD, Y equals AD, Y equals C plus I plus G plus exports minus imports. I could have a fifth. I could have GDP equals C plus I plus G plus exports minus imports. Those are four different ways. All right. So those are the statements. How do we show it graphically? Well, when we draw the graph to find equilibrium output, we put aggregate demand on the vertical axis, and we put GDP and income down here on the horizontal axis. So income and GDP, income and output, those are always equal. So usually we actually just label this axis as income, like this, but just for clarity's sake, let me add GDP down here for right now. And the economy is in equilibrium. Where am I going to write this? Up here. The economy is in equilibrium if the amount of output and income, which we're shorthanding with Y, equals aggregate demand. Now, for reasons I'm going to explain later, the amount of aggregate demand increases as income increases. So start over here someplace on your vertical axis and draw an upward sloping line. I want it to have a slope less than 1. So something looks like this. Excuse me. And that's a line that says aggregate demand is some function of income. So for instance, choose some income along your horizontal axis and call it Y1, and then dash up until you get your aggregate demand line and dash over. That's AD1. That's the amount of aggregate demand. AD1 is the amount of aggregate demand when income equals amount Y1. If instead income was, say, some amount Y2, just choose a different amount of income Y2 along your horizontal axis. Again, dash up until you find your aggregate demand line, dash over. We're going to call that AD2. And that's the amount of, AD2 is the amount of aggregate demand when income equals Y2. So the blue line there is just telling us what's the relationship between output and income on the horizontal axis and C plus I plus G plus exports minus imports, the aggregate demand on the vertical axis. Here's the problem with my being up here is that if you have a question, it's pretty hard for me to see. So, Nick, you're good at this. Can you be kind of my spotter at the front? And because if you're like on the stage, if you're sitting on the edge of the stage, I can see you, and you can tell me if somebody's got their hand up. That'd be awesome. Thank you. Yay, Nick. Okay. And then that'll help, because then there's like somebody at the front. You could actually start moving your mouth and you could pretend that you were talking instead of me, and how's that? That'd be cool. All right. So aggregate demand equals income when the economy is in equilibrium. So there's going to be one point on that aggregate demand line, which is the equilibrium point. And it's going to be the one point where income that we're measuring on the horizontal axis is equal to aggregate demand, which we're measuring on the vertical axis. You can't see my arm movements. Do my arm movements. The income, which we're measuring on the horizontal axis, watch, he's going to put his arm out there, is equal to aggregate demand, which we're measuring on the vertical axis. So we got to find some trick for finding the one point on that line where income equals aggregate demand. We could get a ruler. I'd need a pretty big ruler, and Nick would need a ladder to find the one point on that line that's the same distance from both axes. We could use a laser pointer. That would be another way, but we still need to measure. And then another thing that we could do, though, is we could put another line on our graph. There we go. We could put another line on our graph where every point on that line is the same distance from both the horizontal axis, the income axis, and the vertical axis, the AD axis. So that would be a line with a slope of 1. So it would carve out a 45-degree angle, has a slope of 1. And so this red line is a line where every point on that line is a point where income equals aggregate demand. And voila, there, right where they intersect, I find the one point on the aggregate demand line, the blue line, where output and income are equal. That's the equilibrium point. So this economy is in macroeconomic equilibrium when, find where those two lines cross, dash it down, call it Y star. This economy is in macroeconomic equilibrium when the amount of output and income, that is to say GDP, is equal to Y star, which is going to generate an amount of aggregate demand, AD star, where those two pieces, Y star and AD star, are equal to each other. That's the one time that economy is in equilibrium. If the amount of output is less than Y star, then aggregate demand is above income, they're producing too little. If output is above Y star, then output is above aggregate demand, they're producing too much. So we're going to be at equilibrium at that intersection point. So we've got these multiple definitions here. Those are the definitions of macroequilibrium. We've got a way of doing it graphically here. And then, algebra. We can also find equilibrium algebraically. So suppose that this line here, suppose the equation for this line is that aggregate demand is 400 plus 0.8 times y. Suppose that's the equation. So it's got some intercept, which is 400. It's got an upward slope, which is 0.8. Thank you. And we want to find the equilibrium point. We want to find this wonderful red dot here. We want to find the point where income equals aggregate demand. Well, we know in equilibrium that the amount of income equals aggregate demand. Let's substitute in the equation for aggregate demand. Aggregate demand is 400. Let's put some units on it. $400 billion per year. As you do the algebra, don't copy the units down each line. Just add them on at the very end. So $400 billion per year plus 0.8y, that's aggregate demand. Now I've got one equation and one unknown. I'm just going to use the wonderful little tools from Algebra 1. We're going to subtract 0.8 income from both sides of the equation. That gives us 0.2 times income on the left and 400 on the right. We're going to divide both sides of this equation by 0.2. That gives me income on the left is equal to 400 divided by 0.2. You may think you need a calculator. You don't. Remember that if you multiply the numerator and the denominator both by 10, you'll get rid of the decimal. It's the same as 4,000 over 2. That you can do in your head. Is 2,000. Let's put the units back on now. 2,000 billion per year. That's the process of finding equilibrium. Cool? Cool. All right. In which case, now it's your turn. Suppose instead that aggregate demand is 500 plus 0.6y, where the units are $1 billion per month. You should be able to answer this without using your calculators. So figure out what's the equilibrium value of income. And then once you get your answer, go ahead and click in A, B, C, D, or E. See, this clicker's so magical it even works up here. Good job. 9 seconds. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You did a good job. All right. 83%. Get the happy face. Good job. Income equals 500 plus 0.6 times y. Subtract the 0.6y from both sides. On the left, we get 0.4y. On the right, we have 500. Divide both sides by 0.4. Don't panic because it's a decimal. Just move everything over 1 point. 5,000 over 4. And then if you can't do 5,000 over 4 in your head, you look at the choices and you realize it must be the 1250. What's our units? $1 billion per month. Okay, good. All right, one more clicker question right now. Which statement is true about macro equilibrium? A, output equals aggregate demand. B, y equals aggregate demand. C, y equals C plus I plus G plus exports minus imports. D, GDP equals C plus I plus G plus net exports. E, all of the above. A, B, C, D, or E. Good job. 3 seconds. 1, 2, and 3. Awesome. Oh, man. 94%. Get the happy face. Good. All right, so every time we start drawing graphs, we've got to think about movements along versus shifts of the curve. Aggregate demand on the vertical, income on the horizontal. We're going to have some line like this that tells us how aggregate demand depends upon income. I'll call it AD1. How's that? Which is my first aggregate demand function. It tells me how C plus I plus G plus exports minus imports depend upon income. Remember that if whatever we're talking about is measured on one of the two axes, then we're talking about a movement along the curve. So in this case, income is the thing that's measured on the horizontal axis, and so changes in income are going to give us movements along the aggregate demand curve. So if we say, suppose there's some income y1, we go up to that line, we dash it over, we say that's the amount of aggregate demand when income equals y1. If there's some other amount of income y2, we go up, we find a dot, we dash it over, we say that's the amount of aggregate demand when income equals y2. If anything else, if anything other than a change in income causes a change in aggregate demand, so shift is going to be anything other than a change in income. If anything other than a change in income causes a change in aggregate demand, that's going to shift the entire aggregate demand function. So for instance, one of the things that we'll see later on in the course, well actually on Wednesday, is that if businesses become more optimistic, and so they think that their sales are going to go up, that encourages them to buy more machinery, that is to invest more in their equipment, and that optimism is something other than a change in income. That's going to take and shift the entire aggregate demand curve. We call it AD2, and then at any given level of income, say Y1, we now have a higher level of aggregate demand. So a change in income moves us along an existing aggregate demand curve. A change in anything other than income is going to shift the entire aggregate demand curve. Cool? We're good? We're good. Thank you, Nick. You're a good watcher. All right, clicker question. What's the equation for disposable income? This is one of the ones I said last Monday you had to know as well as you knew your SID. Y plus TR minus TA, Y plus TR plus TA, Y minus TR minus TA, Y minus TR plus TA, or choice E. Which one's the right equation for disposable income? 3 seconds. 1, 2, and 3. Disposable income, which is the amount of funds that we have that we get to decide what to do with. Disposable income is the income we earn from producing goods and services. That's the Y. Plus whatever transfer payments we receive. That's the Pell Grants, the Social Security payments, and so on. Minus whatever taxes we pay to the government. Y plus TR minus TA is the definition of disposable income. We need that equation, and you have to know it because consumption spending tends to depend upon disposable income. So we did a simple problem of solving for equilibrium. Let's do a little more complicated one. Suppose that consumption is equal to 100 plus 0.9 YD.